Hey guys, so like Michelle, I can't be in class on Tuesday to do my presentation, so I'm gonna do a video instead. Sorry, it's a little tilted. My computer's not working, so I have to use my phone. So I'm just gonna go ahead and answer the two questions that Dr. Weller gave us in the PowerPoint. So the first question asks, what is our preferred social contract with our employer? This was something I hadn't really thought about before I entered the workforce, which was probably a mistake. It should have been something I thought about. But throughout the class, and especially when I was doing the podcast, I realized how important I think it is that an employer fosters personal identity in an employee, which was kind of odd for me to think about at first, because normally you think you want a work-life balance and you want to have priorities of one or the other. But in this case, I'm saying that, like, as an employer, you should encourage your employee to be themselves and look after themselves and promote their own identity, their personal identity. But I think as an employee, this says to you that the company wants you to be your best you and they appreciate you for your best you. And as an employer, it's advantageous because companies that do foster great personal identity tend to have longer retention rates with employees and greater productivity and innovation and things like that, which we learn about reading the Gottschalk and Arruda articles. And in my work, they really do foster personal identity. And so, for example, my coworker and I, we have similar job titles, but very, very different jobs. So, for example, she looks after all the admin, the contacting schools, the program marketing, the coordinating, organization, things like that. She's really, really good at it. Whereas I do all the naturalist stuff, the animals, the educating. And it's just because we both have very different skill sets. And as employees, we feel like we can take ownership of our positions because we're valued for the skills we bring. And for the company, it means that they have a very effective team and a much stronger team than they would have if it was just, we were being told what we had to do and it didn't necessarily match up with our skills or what we think we're good at or, whatever. The next question is, what strategies will you employ to maintain a coherent identity as a worker in today's economy? So my professional interests were very strongly guided by my personal interests, and they have been since I was a child. I've always loved animals, which I'm sure is no secret to any of you. And it's been that way since I was a kid, and it has affected all my choices that I've made throughout my life. So, what jobs I took, where we went on holiday, what schools I went to, what my degrees were in, all those sorts of things, what clubs I did, all of that was affected by, wildlife and animals and, what I loved and what I wanted to do. And so it has been that all my jobs have revolved around animals or wildlife. And that's been great for me because it means my personal identity is involved in my work, and I really enjoy that. And that's something I will continue to do, is I will pick jobs where I believe in what they do and where I love what I do, as opposed to necessarily jobs that make money or advance me or whatever. My priority will be, do I love the job? Do I believe in what they do and what they stand for? And finally, Dr. Weller asked us how we plan to communicate our professional identity. Again, not something I thought of, and actually being in this class made me a little nervous that I had not thought about it, and I had entered the workforce without putting much thought into this. This class had a big effect on me in terms of, how I think about marketing and branding, and I can't watch a TV commercial now without saying, ooh, that didn't seem sensible, or ooh, that was great because of this, this, and this, it's kind of cool. Like you guys always send those Facebook messages with all the ads and stuff. I think that's great. So for my professional identity plan, one of the most recent things that I've started to do is try and use different forms of social media more. So, we talk about how as communication master students, we should use social media. And I have a Facebook, but I keep very private, and as most of you know, I use a different name. And I don't want my Facebook to be a form of social media that I use. I like to keep it nice and private. I do have a separate work Facebook for work things, so Twitter, not really funny enough in 140 characters to warrant a Twitter account, so I went with Instagram. I've just started using it, and I only post pictures of animals or nature or whatever, and that way I hope to convey my professional and personal identity to the world through Instagram. And I just think it's a good way to do it, because, nature and animals tend to be very well put across in photos. LinkedIn's an important one for me, because I think it shows your resume really well. It's a great way to showcase your resume. And especially for me, it's a great way to justify all the changes in my resume, so I can put what my end goal is and how I want to work in global conservation with elements of recreation, hospitality, and education. And that's why my resume is kind of all over the world and, you know, all over the place with little stints here and there. It's because I've been trying to get this experience that I couldn't necessarily get in school at the time. So I'd use my summers and my spare time to go do all these different things. I also think, you know, and this is something I hadn't thought about before, but as I was writing, it occurred to me, is a blog would actually be a really great thing to have, because it can showcase your writing and your knowledge and your interests. And I think, you know, writing is such an important skill, especially in communications and conservation communications, because it's how you get across a lot of your messages. And so it's a great way to showcase your writing. And finally, you know, I've decided recently to kind of settle in the US for longer than I had originally planned. And so now's the time I can start networking, and I think that's really important. So I want to join some wildlife societies and chapters to kind of be able to network and meet people who can teach me new things and show me new things and help me expand my network. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys. Had a great time with all y'all in class, and Merry Christmas. And for those of you who are doing a capstone who I won't see next semester, good luck. All right, bye guys.